Hello, and welcome along to the stream tonight. I hope that everyone is doing well. Hello, Maurice in the chat room. Good to see you virtually again. So before we get into it tonight, I guess we should. How is everyone? Let's just check to see how everyone's doing. Me, from a personal standpoint, been a strange old week. Busy week. So lots going on and lots of things to keep me busy and out of trouble. We had a fair bit of snow. It's now thankfully going away. There was sledging involved again, but the snow is pretty much all going away again. They had a big rise in temperature overnight, so that's good. It's been a while since... Bye snow, yes indeed. Hello Nils, and hello Elias, I think, maybe? I think I maybe got that right. Well, tell me if I did, that'd be good. So, yes, there we go. I'm terrible with names, I really am. I think we've discussed this before. I'm called Maurice Kim all the time and vice versa, but I do try. So, as a recap of last week, so last week we attempted to do a build of the Cake.Strong signer on GitHub Actions, and it was all going to work, and then we were going to move on to what we're going to look at tonight, and it didn't work out that way. Long story short, I figured out what the problem was. So Cake.Recipe was working, Git version was working, running Cake.Recipe with Git version on GitHub Actions wasn't working. Now, the reason that it wasn't working is that the GitHub Actions image already has Git version installed globally using the Chocolatey package. So that meant that gitversion.exe was available as a shim on what was already predefined in the path. So even though, as part of Cake.Recipe, we were installing the Gitversion.net global tool version of Git version, Cake's runner was finding the pre-installed version of Git version, which was the earlier version. So that's why we weren't seeing any of my custom output that I was trying to put into the system to validate things. And that's also why the fix that I put into play wasn't working, because it was using the older version. So, long story short, I made some changes in the Cake.Recipe to sad jump here. Long story short, I made some changes to Cake.Recipe to force where it finds the Git version tool by default. It is illustrative of a underlying issue that I believe there is already an issue about on the Cake repository in terms of tool resolution. So that's something that I believe Sean, so Git tool or Gitful on GitHub has already got a PR up for. So we need to address that at some point. So after all of that shenanigans, that was most of my Tuesday and Wednesday, I think, finding things out. I did publish a new version of Cake Strong Name Signer at the correct version. So what we're going to attempt to do today is essentially the same thing, but this time we're going to publish it on, or we're going to build and we're going to publish on Azure DevOps, right? So I've got a project here, so it's another add-in that I help maintain, and it's the Cake.DotNetVersionDetector. And what we're going to do is we are going to attempt to run the build on Azure DevOps, or Azure Pipelines within Azure DevOps, and do the publish and the release from there. So what I've done in the recipe.cake file for this project is I have set the preferred build provider type to be Azure Pipelines. And the idea is that if we set up the build to run on there, then everything will work correctly. So in the here's one I prepared earlier fashion. Here, let me just bring it in so that we can all see it. So I have created a project on Azure DevOps for Cake.DotNetVersionDetector. I haven't set anything up. So this is literally me setting it up for the first time. So I need to go into repos, I'm guessing, and I need to, do I need to do that? Or did I do this wrong? I thought creating a project would have allowed me to, well, so I'm literally 5 minutes before I did this, I set up a new project within the Azure DevOps organization that is Cake.Contrib. So if I've done that wrong, then feel free to shout, Pascal, because I did follow the docs. The docs didn't mention anything. The docs mentioned set up project, which was to run Azure DevOps Sync. I tried that and it didn't work. It didn't work because I don't think it's a .NET Global tool and it wasn't running on my Mac. So it didn't work. So I went and created it manually. Should I do that differently? If you're in a position to run that for me, then, well, if you're in a position to run that for me for my Cake.NetVersionDetector, then I can delete this one. What would be your preference? Because, like I say, I haven't done this before, and I don't know how we set it up in Azure DevOps for the Cake.Contrib organization. So feel free to tell me what we should do here, and I'll wait. It actually doesn't do much more than create the team project, so you should be fine. Okay, automate the things, yes. Hello, Kim. So I still need to connect the repository then. So I need to point the repository of this project at the GitHub project that is .NET Version Detector, correct? So that's an import repository option, I'm going to guess. Maybe. Okay, no. Okay, fine. What should I do then? I don't know, Maurice. This is why I'm asking. Well, oh, I see what you're saying. So you're saying we just have the pipeline. So I want to leave GitHub code where it is. Okay, fine. Okay, so we're on the same page. In which case, I'm going to go over. Let's move this out of the way then. So I'm going to go back to my project, and we'll bring up the GitHub Cake.Contrib Cake.Recipe. So you want me to go to project settings, overview, and disable the not required services. So the not required service. So we don't want boards. Remove boards. We don't want repos then. Remove repos. And artifacts. We'll disable artifacts as well then in a minute. So I've just got pipelines. I believe that's what we're saying. Okay, so I've got pipelines and I've got an overview left. So if I go back over to our documentation for Cake.Recipe, I do believe that under the CI systems we have an example usage. So I can borrow this and I'm going to put this into a new file in here called, let's create a new file called Azure, spell it right, Azure-pipelines.yaml. And then here, I'm going to put all of this stuff. So at the minute, step 3, back to that. Let me just put this in while I've got it here. So this is that, and then .NET Version Detector 74. So th-74 add Azure Pipelines file taken from Cake.Recipe docs. Sure. Step 3 probably is not required. I should probably already have admin permissions since you created it. Correct. So in terms of the setup that we have, I see what you're saying. Disable the not required services. Okay, cool. So back over here, I have got all of these. So we have a pipeline. I've disabled all the ones that we don't need. Hello, Augusto. Welcome to the stream. So what I want then, so what I think I'm still missing though, is this project. Which part of the pipeline I need to push your branch to the YAML. Okay, but how do I? Okay, I'm missing something. So how does this project, which I just created with no reference to the GitHub project, how does this project then know about the changes in my GitHub repository? Because those two things are not hooked up at the minute. Or what am I missing? Now push your branch with the YAML file. Patience. Okay, fine. I'm willing to wait. Okay, so what you're saying is, if I go here and I do git push upstream, that'll be the next step. Okay, fine. So git push upstream, git push origin. Okay, so those changes are published, Pascal. Visit GitHub Azure Pipelines installation configure. Is that got anything that I shouldn't show on stream, Pascal, or is that safe for work? So I'm visiting here. Azure Pipelines installations new. Should be fine. I'll do it on this page just to be on the safe side. I'm going well with my streak of not letting any sort of sensitive information out on stream. So let's stick with just doing it over here. So if I go to under repository access, select only, select. So I'm going to click on here. I'm going to click on here. And I'm going to click on only selected repositories. And then I'm going to click on Cake..NetVersionDetector, this one. And I'm going to click save. You are being redirected to continue the installation. Loading identity providers, blah, blah, blah. It's asking me to log in. Working, loading. Select your Azure DevOps organization. So that would be the Cake contrib one. And then the project is going to be Cake.NetVersionDetector. Click continue. I'm doing this off screen just to reiterate, just so that I don't give any secrets away that I didn't want to. So now if I do a wee refresh here then, pipelines, I can see it over here, but I can't see it over here. So why is this one? So this is the one that I had opened before. Now it's still asking me to, did I not finish it? This one? Sorry, I maybe didn't finish it. Okay, so if I refresh now, nope. Have you saved the pipeline? I thought I had. It's saying review your pipeline YAML, and then the options that I've got are run or more actions. Or there we go, save. Okay, creating pipeline. Okay, so I think I've got it now. So if I refresh again, here we go. So no runs yet. That's fine. Okay, so I had a quick chat with Pascal on Slack before I did. Oh, there was a question there. Sorry, Pascal shouldn't be needed to do that in a Cake contrib org, right? Isn't it enabled for all repositories there? Yeah, from what I've seen, Kim, it's only enabled on a per project basis, because although we have a Cake contrib organization on Azure DevOps, we haven't done as much with it as we have in, say, the GitHub organization. So we haven't enabled all the secrets and all that sort of stuff. When I initially went there, it said it was for all repositories. Now it's only enabled. It could be that you only have permissions for that one. In terms of what I could see when I logged in, there are a few in here, but it's not all of them, no. But it's maybe a permissioned level that you're maybe not seeing everything, Kim. So, in terms of pipeline, so one of the things that's not set up here, and one of the things that we will have to do is we will have to run or add all the environment variables that's needed to do the publish. But I think for the first thing that we should do is we should just try to run it. Oh, I see. That I don't know then. But I'm going to say, while we're chatting, I'm going to click run this pipeline just to see if it builds at all. And then I need to add the environment variables. The pipeline references a cake called task. Usually this in task isn't. So what did I copy and paste? Why do I need to add something to this organization? Task is cake. So how do I enable the you did the and then all repositories, so the save button is enabled. Sorry, I'm just trying to, I'll come back in a second, Nils, I'm just catching up with. It really, it is really only one repo authorized. You did the star? Which save button? I'm sorry, I'm missing the context. So I went and selected just the Cake..NETVersionDetector in that link that you sent me. I didn't do the all. Under repository. I did. Yes, I did all of that. I did. Definitely did. Definitely. Well, no, because that then directed me through to. I don't know. I didn't, because that then took me through, because I then got redirected through to Azure DevOps. So I have this. So let me do this. Bring this up. Bring this up. I did that, and then I pressed save. So I selected that, and then I selected that, and then I hit save. But I didn't switch back. What does that mean? There's only the first. What did I miss then? Under repository access, select only. Under repository access, select only selected repositories. Did that. Then all repositories. Oh, then all repositories. So now you want me to hit save, or I'm so confused. I'm so confused. I'm missing something here. So what should I do? So you want me to hit save here? I'm going to reiterate it again. I'm going to hit and save here. I'm going to wait for another confirmation. Yes. Okay. Fine. I'm going to hit save. But then, it redirected me like this when I hit save the first time. So I did hit save, and then it took me through. Should I sign in here again, or are we good to go? Oh, I see what you're saying. So okay, so I think I'm catching up. So we want it enabled for all repositories. Is that what we're saying? So it's just the UI that's broken. Yes, but at the time you disable. Gotcha. Okay. I think we're there. Okay. So now back to Nil's point. This is so not meant to be this hard. So back to Nil's point. Okay, I think we're back to where we want to be. So at the minute, the Cake extension isn't installed for this project. So Nils's point was, should we and can we install it at the organization level so that all the projects have it? This is just to enable the save button, not to switch the settings. Okay, fine. Good. Under select and then okay, so I maybe didn't read the second part. It's maybe not clear enough. It should maybe be individual bullet points to say do this, so it's completely idiot proof, or let's say it a different way. So it's completely Gary proof. We maybe have individual things that need to be done there. Right. So back up to the organization level. So Cake contrib. So organization settings. Seems you have hidden. Oh, what? Have I? I haven't knowingly hidden it. I take it you're trying to show something and it's not showing up. Oh, it's down there. What's it doing down there? How can I grab that and move it up a bit? Oh, let's do this. Let's put that there. That better? I hadn't knowingly moved it, but maybe I did. I was messing around with OBS earlier for reasons. But yes, if you could show Nils's message again, that'd be good. So in here, I'm assuming that there is going to be a place where I can add the extension. So the extension is Visual Studio Marketplace. And then, sure, in here, this is Azure DevOps. This is Cake. I think we want to install this. So get it free. So yep, I think we went to the same place, Nils. So I'm going to click on there, and it's going to tell me that I want to put it in there, and then checking permissions and install status for Cake contrib. Okay, let's accept all these cookies. Just thinking. I'm going to click the install button. You are all set. Beautiful. Proceed to organization. Okay, so then if we go back into .NET version detector, why do you want to use the extension? Why would I not use the extension? We use the extension on GitHub Actions, so we're also using it on DevOps. That's exactly the answer I was going to give Nils. You have a YAML file, so not much more than calling it. Granted. But yeah, I literally followed the instructions that were in Cake.Recipe. So I'm going to click on this pipeline and I'm going to say run pipeline. And this time, hopefully, it'll let me run it. Let's see if this runs. It's queued. So the YAML file that I put in Pascal was literally this. So it's caching stuff, and then it is passing in the options that I would, yeah, I could do that just by doing a PowerShell one, I guess, but yeah, I'm using the Cake one. So in here, it's running. So if this succeeds, there's a couple of things that we need to do, but the first one would be to get all the environment variables into play. So as I mentioned, at the minute, Azure DevOps, well, mainly from Pascal's add-ins as an example, those are running on here are mainly for PR builds. So they're not set up with environment variables because they don't need it. So in this instance, I want to run the publish. So I need all of the environment variables configured and set up. So that's going to be a little bit of copying and pasting off screen if this one works. So I'm going to do that while we talk about other things or we talk amongst ourselves. And if this works, where we're going to get to is we'll be able to ship a new version of Cake.Recipe. I spoke to Augusto and some of the other folks in the Cake chat about this earlier. If we get this working, then we can at least say from a Cake.Recipe standpoint, we have an example of publishing an add-in on GitHub Actions, i.e. Cake strong name signer. We've got an example of publishing an add-in on Azure DevOps, i.e. Cake.NetVersionDetector. Ship a new version of Cake.Recipe. Then we can start a process of updating add-ins to use the latest version of Cake.Recipe, which includes things like deterministic builds, suggestions along the lines of embedding the icons, all that sort of stuff. Ship a new version of those add-ins, and then follow-up work, which is to run to to build everything with Cake 1.0.0, as well as cross-compile for .NET 5, and immediately push out a new version of those add-ins as well. And once all of that work's done, we can come back around with all those new add-ins that have a new version of Cake.Recipe, which runs with all of those new add-ins, which will target Cake 1.0, and we can update Cake.Recipe itself to build and run with Cake 1.0. And that will be a new major release of Cake.Recipe, which will all then just work. So that's the plan. But like I say, I want to have this working so that I can say that we have an example of Cake.Recipe working, all the pieces, publishing, certain versions, packaging, publishing, etc. That was a lot, but that's a plan. So I'm sort of hoping that this is going to work after all of that. But while I'm waiting for this to run, on another screen, if I come over here, where on my pipeline do I set the variables? So which is that in edit? I hope not, because I'm going to need to sign in again there. Mother Hubbard, I'm off the screen. I wonder why it timed me out there. Get logged back in again. Incorrect username or password. It's kind of not, because I just signed in with it. Not that one, that one, this one. That's very strange. Oh, that's signing in Github. Oh, hold on. That will be wrong then. While I'm doing that, let me grab this one, copy this one, and then let's get the authenticator code over here. There's lots of stuff going on in the chat room there. I'll come back to those comments in a second. Okay, much strangeness. Okay, speaking of Cake 1.0 support and Cake.Recipe, Elias, are you interested in reviewing 237 and 238? Okay, good. If we have to talk to each other for a second, can I shamelessly share my latest blog post? I recently started a new hobby and this is my first blog post about it. Sure. Let's click on this and I will get a copy from here. and paste this up to here. What has Maurice been working on? Maurice is working on Octopi with Octodash on Raspberry Pi 4 with Hyperpixel 4. What is that? My new hobby is 3D printing. This is my first blog post about the subject. I intend to create many more. To control my 3D printer, I use a Raspberry Pi 4 with a Hyperpixel 4.0 touchscreen and the Raspberry Pi camera module. On the Raspberry Pi, I'm using the Octopi image currently, blah, with Octoprint installed. I can also install Octodash to show magic on the screen. This sound, see, you shouldn't show me things like this, Maurice. You just shouldn't. You just shouldn't, because I'm going to want to install and play with this now. Because having a 3D printer is something I have thought about. I honestly have. I just don't know what I would do with it. I don't know what I would print. So yeah, I'll leave this up here to take a look at later, because this is something I am interested in. But I genuinely don't have the time for it. No, I don't have a 3D printer. I'm saying I would love to have one, but I don't know what I would print with it. If you don't, no, I get that. I get that. But this whole idea of having a 3D printer and being able to do stuff with it, such as this, I find it immensely interesting. I just don't have the time for it. So, yeah, if you haven't seen it already, go and have a look at Maurice's blog post on this subject here. Now, where did I go? Yes, environment variables. Where do I set up environment variables for an Azure DevOps pipeline? So I was over here. So, okay, well, there's a couple of things. The build failed to start with. So we'll need to figure out why the build failed. .NET Cake failed, error. Okay, no, that's fine. That's fine, I think. Yeah, no, I think that's fine. Because it's attempting to upload things. And I haven't given it the information. So it will have attempted to do some things that it's not able to. Is that right? So it successfully created all the packages. It read the issues. It published the issues artifact. It then got to unable to publish because it's not been set. Hold on, you jumped. Where did you jump to? Unable to publish chocolatey packages. Is running on Windows. Windows packages. Exists Windows. Curious as to why it's saying that. Clean documentation, publish documentation, upload coveralls report, upload code cov report, and failed to upload the report. Now, this is a question for Kim, I think. For code cov, do I need to have a token in order for the publishing to happen? Because I know that we don't if we're running on certain CI systems, but based on this, I think this is one that we would need to have a token. Can you maybe confirm or deny that, Kim? But while Kim's coming back to me about that, I'll ask my question again, or I'll go through it in my head again. Where do I set up the environment variables for this project? Is it at the project level, or is it at the pipeline level? Never implemented anything for Azure myself. Okay, fine. Cake.issues did now its job here. See warnings. Okay, so hold on. What are you showing me here? So Azure DevOps did its thing here. Okay, so we'll come back to that one because yes. So what Pascal is pointing out here is that Cake.issues does, because we're now running on Azure DevOps, Cake.issues does a lot more for us in terms of showing us what went wrong. So if we were to click in here and go to the results, then in here, I believe that these warnings and these errors, these are now coming through from Cake.issues. So they're getting displayed and they're getting created in here. Okay, well, let's put some environment variables in, and then we can see if it starts working. So if I click on edit here, then Azure Pipelines, variables. Hey Arthur, how's it going? Good to see you. So then I click on variables, and then so the process is in variables in here. So this part is coming off screen because obviously I don't want you folks, or I don't want everyone in the world to see those. So if I put this over here and I look at this, then I should be able to start adding things in. So I'm just going to go through each of these and I'm going to add in some information. So these don't go into the YAML file, correct? Or where do these get added to? Do they get added to the YAML file? Or are these stored in the project? Let's do this one to start with. Keep this value secret, let others override this value. They stay in Azure DevOps. Okay, fine. So I can just click OK then at this point. Okay, cool. So then I add another one that would be this one. So I'm just going to be copying and pasting things in here. So now is a great opportunity for talking about things. So Nils is saying he had the same issue with regard to now that's not called GitHub token anymore, is it? That's called something else. So if we were to go up here and go to github.com, contrib, go in there. So this would be strong name signer. And then settings, secrets. So in the current version, we've called it GH token. Now I know we've changed that, but that's a job for a different day. So let's keep it like this at the minute. Did we put myget into this one? So we did. So myget's still being used. Let's just put it in again. Copy, paste. So there's a caveat with what I said earlier. I assume it's a public build, is that in that case it should be needed, but on a private. So this is a, so I created the project as public, Kim. So I would assume that the pipeline is public as well. And given that, that I don't know. Those variables are per pipeline, so you have a library that is shared. So that's, I think that's something for a different day, Arthur. So at the minute, I'm really the only project in this Azure DevOps organization that is doing an actual publish. So this is the only project that needs it. But yes, at some point, I think we should script out so that we are able to update at the organization level each of these variables so that other folks can use them as well. Would be to store stuff in Azure Key Vault and then create a variable group. So what Pascal said. But for now, I'm just going to add them all in manually, and then we can see about getting that sorted out properly later. So more copying and pasting. And then this one. So there's something like 20 or so variables. So hopefully they won't be here too long. Oh, that's not gonna work. Copy. I mean, I maybe should have done this before the stream, but I was also just trying to get few things set up, so I didn't have time. So this one is that one. So what I'm currently putting in are all the variables for all the things that Cake.Recipe does. So there's the publishing to Twitter when the build succeeds. There is the publishing to Gitter when the build succeeds. There's the publishing of packages to NuGet, etc. So all of these things have got environment variables associated with them. So the presence of those environment variables then drive certain actions to take place, or they're skipped. So with everything in play, the build and the publish should all just work. Copy. We're getting there. The Twitter stuff going in just now. And then we've got some AppVer stuff. We probably don't need that one, but we'll add it in for completeness. It's got a NuGet API key, which is used for publishing the NuGet packages. Then we've got a token for YAM for when it does the publishing of the changes to any documentation. Then we've got a branch name that YAM uses for doing its publish. I think I've got about 2 or 3 left here. So this one, I've got some GitHub package repository stuff for publishing packages to GitHub packages. Publishing to Azure. This one. This one. This one. Okay, I've only got 2 left this time. I know I said that last time, but I lied. I've got 2 left now. That one. Copy. Paste. And then this one. Copy. Paste. And then this one. Copy. Paste. Okay. Save. Okay, so those variables are now saved. So if I go back to here and I go back to here, let's rerun failed jobs. Well, maybe say no to that. Let's do a new run from the develop branch, click run. Oh, hold on. That said it didn't have any variables configured. What did I miss? Once I've added in the variables, they should automatically be added to each run, I assume. But it also said that they weren't there. If I click this run pipeline again, this pipeline has no defined variables. Is that because it's the same commit? Or how do I tell it that those variables, add variable, or is that a different set of variables? Let's click on this again and see what it's doing. See if it changes. I know you can't see anything on my screen again, and I do apologize for that. But so all the variables are there. When I click run, I can bring this part in. So when I clicked run before, I noticed that there's this variable section here, but it's saying that this pipeline has no defined variables. Is that something else? or should that be populated with the list of variables that I added previously? Any takers on that one? Back up to here, into here, into job. Now there was a link from Kim before about CI providers, so let's have a look at this on screen here. So Pascal said, defined variables are shown there, but only if you set the checkbox. Okay, so what does that mean? Where do I tick the checkbox? Okay, so So I don't. So what we're saying is I don't need to worry. So the variables that I've created will be passed into this build. Yes, they will be there. It's just that I haven't set them to be settable at runtime, so there's nothing for them to do. I think that's what I've taken from what you've said anyway. In your case, you don't want them. Correct. So back to what I was showing here. So it does say that I don't need them. Token required only on private builds. Now, the pipeline that I created, so the project is public, I believe. If I go back to project settings here, then visibility is indeed set to public. The pipelines settings, if the project is public, then the pipelines is public, correct? So there shouldn't be anything additional that needs to be done there, I don't think. But we may create a token and put it in. But then that brings up the question of what that token is called and where I get it. So let's go back to here and have a look at Cake contrib, Cake.Recipe. And let's go into here and into here and look at, we'll be testing, I think. Have a little search in here for code cov. Maybe it's not. Code cov. Oh, there was one. I just completely missed it. So in here, upload code cov report, and it is looking for an environment variable called, or no, it doesn't. It looks for one specifically named something. Code cov itself looks for a environment variable. So the question then becomes, what's Nil sent me? So it failed again. Doing the process. Code cov repo token. Okay. Seeing it there. So did it fail at the same place? It did. It failed at the same place. So let's go back to our pipeline and edit it again. And we'll add another variable called, a new variable called code cov repo token. So if we go to codecov.io, about codecov.io, log in with GitHub, I have one repository for Cake.coveralls. Let's set about creating a new one, and we'll get a repo token for this project. and see if we can get past that error. If not, we will switch off the publishing to CodeCov at the minute, because I don't want this to hold up the overall process, which is proving out the whole publishing. So CodeCov is currently telling me it's syncing with GitHub Teams. I'm going to give it another couple of minutes, and if that doesn't come back with something, I'm going to switch it off. So let's just check that. Set parameters, code cov, should run code cov. That defaults to true, so we may well come back and switch that off at the minute. So that would be in recipe.cake. Let's preemptively do this, and we'll say false to that. Still thinking. Now it works, of course. So we could say, no, it's still syncing. It's been taking a while to. Cake. Let's click on Cake contrib. And again, apologies, I'm doing things slightly off screen, so you won't be able to see it. So this is going to be .NET. Oh, Kim's just sent me something. .NET. I think I'm getting to the same place as what you've just sent me, but I'll trust you with what you've just sent me, because I think it matches what I've got here. So if I click copy there and paste this over here and click OK and save. Thank you for that, Kim. I'm going to click run again on this. I'm going to click run again on this pipeline, and I think I got to the same page as you're explaining to me, Kim. Let me just verify that while that pipeline's running. So that was, or where did you send me that? You were in the other Slack, so that's down here. That's here, and that is Cake contrib. Yes, I got to that page, but I think Nils has just found it as well. That's the page that I was on. Yep. So it's repository upload token is what I've just added in. So now it's running again. So let's see if this now, if this runs, we won't. If this builds and succeeds, we won't need to do the change that I just made. And I would prefer that. But if it doesn't work, like I said, I don't want to waste too much time getting this running, because the point of tonight and the point of the larger goal is to get things publishing and known to be working. So I'll just turn off CodeCov for this repository, and then we can delay figuring out what's going on for a later date. Interestingly, I think we're up to date with the CodeCov uploader tool that we're using. So I don't think it would be an old version of that that's causing a problem. But let's see where we get to. And there's Baron of Cheese. Hello, how are you, sir? We are playing with Cake.Recipe on Azure DevOps, and we're trying to prove out that we can successfully build and publish on Azure DevOps. A bit sweaty was just out shoveling some snow. We've just finished doing that here because the temperature is going back up again, but we had a lot of snow. For us, we had a lot of snow. We were sledging and everything, which is not normal. I'm going by the variables that are yet again, which probably, I'm going by that the variables in Azure Pipelines have changed yet again, which probably broke CodeCov uploader. This is at least the third time this has happened. 20 to 30 centimeters, Maurice. That's just crazy talk. We didn't have that much. We had, at most, we had like 3 inches, 4 inches maybe. We have like 15 centimeters where I am. Still snowing quite a bit. Was just taking some of it now to have less shovel. See, that's the thing. You have to keep on top of it, otherwise it's just a complete nightmare. We have a shared driveway where I live, so we sort of take turns, me and the neighbours, getting it all cleaned up. But yeah, Kim, if that is the case, that's unfortunate. But so are you hopeful, Kim, that adding that repo token will make things work, or that it will still fail? Okay, cool. So what you're saying is that there's an update required for CodeCov for detecting the Azure Pipeline variables to then know that it's running on Azure Pipeline, to then know that it can do stuff. Is that kind of where we're at? Even if you run it locally now, it should work as long as you use a token. Even if you run it locally. Okay, I see. We are like 10 tenants sharing an outdoor path on first floor. Most of them are elderly. Gotcha. And that makes you a good man. There you go. My neighbours are actually part of. They work for the NHS, so I'm quite happy to clear the driveway for them, not for them, but to help them out, because they're going out at funny times and during the day and night. So I'm more than happy to help out in that respect. If this is more 3D printing stuff that you're trying to put me off with, Maurice, bet it is. Oh no, it's your snow. Indeed, exactly that. Exactly that. Yeah, I like to look out at snow. It is pretty to look at, but if you've got somewhere to go, then it's just not fun, is it? Let's be honest. And we as a country are not equipped really for lots of snow. People just don't know how to drive in it. It's just carnage. Come on, let's get to the point that I'm hopeful. So if this works, we should be able to cut over to a release branch, cut over to a master branch, publish, tag. Oh. No, so that process will still be the same, I think. But will the tag in GitHub trigger a build in Azure DevOps? It should, I think, maybe. I guess we'll find out. Was Kim showing his snow as well? Oh, look at that. Yeah, I don't want to live there. I replied to your comment on Twitter, Kim. So no, you can keep it. You can keep it. Your question: should I share an image? No. Oh, nope, that failed again. Did that fail with the same thing? Where was it? CodeCov. I maybe should read what it's saying. Failed to upload the report. CodeCov exit 1 upload failed. In which case, I'm gonna turn it off, Kim, at the minute, because yeah, okay, I don't want that to hold up getting the main part of the stream, which tonight was. I'm gonna turn off CodeCov publishing. This doesn't seem to be working for now, even though Well, let's just check that it did some of the other stuff. Saying the API key. No, so it did. Just looking back at the build, it did push. Did it? Request entity too large. Oh, that's for my get. So the variables are there. It's just that my get is broken. So we're going to turn off my get actually. This doesn't work for now, even though the repository token has been added. So I'm going to cancel, change it. Oh, I haven't saved it. Let's save it. So that's there, and let's commit that, and let's go back into my pipeline variables. Click on edit. I'm going to remove those myGet ones so that it doesn't attempt to publish the myGet ones. So let's take that one out, leaving just the GitHub package repository and NuGet. So let's save those, close that, and then let's do git push upstream, git push origin. Okay, let's try this again. Yes, I will do that. Let me grab that just now while it's doing that. I will grab all of this. That's not going to let me do that, of course. There we go. I'm gonna. I'll just put it in Slack to use just now, Kim, so that I've put it somewhere. While I remember, let's do that. Is it minus 15 degrees most days? We had around minus 10, minus 20. It was super cool. Ugh, don't like it. Okay, I prefer the snow over super low temps. Really? I'm just going to do it. Here's a time lapse. I'm not going to look at that just now. Sorry, Maurice. Usually it's around minus 10, but to be honest, I would rather have minus 30. I had a previous place I lived. That's just crazy talk. Because we're talking Celsius there, or what we're talking. Just make sure that we're talking about the same unit. Oh, you've got one. You've got a 3D printer too. I feel so jealous. I really do. Okay, that's just crazy talk. What is it just now? I think the lowest we got to was like -8. That overnight was -8 was the lowest that we got to. And we're currently at 6. We're expecting a low today of 4 degrees Celsius. All right, let's see if this works this time. But still, -30 is, that's, I don't care where you are, that's still cold. Oh, that's building. Okay, let's see if it builds this time. If it builds, what is, okay then, Kim, what is the coldest that you've experienced? I'm trying to remember what it was. It was cold when I was in Calgary. I don't think even there, I don't think it got down to that sort of temperature when I was there. Well, Calgary and Edmonton, but I don't think it was that cold. Lived in a place in Sweden at some point. It went as far minus 37.5 degrees Celsius. No. You can keep it. That's cold. That's too cold. I don't even know if I've got a record of how cold it was while I was there. But yeah, in Calgary, when I was over in Calgary and Edmonton, that's the coldest I've been at. And that's the thing. That was the same in Calgary and Edmonton. In the summer, it would swing to 30 plus in the summer, and yeah. I'd much prefer it to be. And Scottish weather is not great at the best times, but it's a little bit more consistent in terms of temperature swings. I'll be using a Pi 0W if it fits right into the MK3S. Just need to do it. I am too lazy. Thanks for the link. You're making me. You two are making me jealous. You really are. I'll have to have a chat with Lynn to see if we'll allow a 3D printer at some point. I know what the answer is going to be though. But genuine question though. So give me some arguments that I can use for getting a 3D printer. What are you going to be doing with it, other than creating time lapses of printing stuff? What can I print that will get the wife acceptance factor above -20? You can make so an example. Games with okay, games for the kids. That could maybe work. The weather and temperatures are more stable here in Narvik, where I live now, typically 18 degrees in the summer and up to -10. Free toys for the kids, spare parts for all sorts of things. A holder for iron brew cans for your desk. Oh, I love it, Pascal. I don't think that will work. I don't. It's worth a try, I guess. Okay. We're getting near the point that it failed last time. So let's see. So it's done the tests. It's doing the pack. It's doing the uploading of the issues. It is publishing to GitHub packages. Fine. 030 alpha 55. So that seemed to work. That's good. I've seen people creating cookie cutters using a 3D printer. That's fun for the kids. Yeah, I could maybe sell that one. Print cases for your Raspberry Pi. Yes, that would. So it should be attempting to upload coveralls. Okay, we've got a successful build. Beautiful. Right. So with that in mind then, I'm going to YOLO the rest of it. So we are building. Where did we go? Where did we get to? We are building. Too many windows open. Close you, close you, close you. Close you, close you, close you. Close you, close you. Okay, so we are building 030 of this one. So I'm going to say that this is done. So on the 030 milestone that I've got open over here, all the issues are closed. All the issues have a single label associated with them. So we should be ready to go. So let's do git checkout -b release 0.3.0 from the develop branch. Git checkout master. I have a rowing machine. I needed a phone holder for it. I designed and printed it myself. Cost like €0.3 to print. Feel free to reach out regarding a Pi on your printer on Twitter or via my blog. I would advise against a Pi 0W due to processor power and memory. Octopi even suggests to not use the 0W. So with this in mind, I should be able to do build target equals release notes. Oh, did I delete an environment variable that I need here? I think I did. I think this is not going to work because I deleted an environment variable. And this is where I should come back around to the thing that I always say, which is that I should create a workflow on GitHub to allow the creation of the release note when I need it, so that I don't have to worry about doing it from this machine. But we are where we are. So, and also, I don't think I've merged yet. Yeah, we haven't merged yet. So that's actually not going to work because so I'm going to pull this down so I'm off the screen, and I'm going to go back to system, and I'm going to go to here, environment variables here, and then let's grab this one and here, new GitHub. The reason I deleted it is because there's a conflict in the current one with regard to the name. But let's put it back in and let's do this. CD into C GitHub organizations, Cake contrib, Cake dot, which one are we doing? .NetVersionDetector. This one. Let's do this while we're off screen just to make sure. GitHub token, beautiful. Let's go back to our release branch. Check out release branch, and then on here we'll do a build that is target equals release notes. Let's see if this works. If you want to talk 3D printers, drop me a message, pick a method you want. You know how much. Yeah, I do indeed. On that note, I use the current workflow when publishing Cake.Transifex. So I need to add that in. I need to put that on my list of things I need to put into my add-ins, so I remember to do it. So I'm going to open that somewhere so that I have that for reference. You also can't get a screen with the 0W. Oh, that was in reply to Thomas's questions. See how it works. Just wanted to use it to check out the prints. Okay, so I'm going to bring this back in, hopefully with everything hidden that needs to be hidden. So if we go over here and we go back to here, Cake contrib, Cake.NetVersionDetector. Okay, so we should have a new release that is 030, that it's got one improvement, which is enabling of the deterministic build. Okay, so back to here, git checkout master, git status, what's that change? I think we need that. Git checkout master, git merge no ff from the release branch, git push upstream, git push origin. Okay, so over here and over on this one, sorry, lots of things happening. So this should now hopefully cause a build on the master branch. Maybe. Although it's only got the build currently on the... I didn't do something silly, I didn't have that on the... So it's not being told to not look at the master branch, but I'm also not seeing a build yet. So how long should I wait before it kicks off a build? I picked up the develop branch, but I'm not seeing a build yet for the master branch. But I'm sort of assuming by saying it's not excluding the master branch, so I'm sort of assuming that it will pick those up. I definitely did push them, didn't I? Push the master, yeah. So over on here, over on here. Yeah, so it did push the master branch. So it's up to date with 2 minutes ago, but I'm still not seeing a build over here. If I miss something in the setup, if I click run pipeline, it knows about the branch. Do I need to further edit my pipeline configuration, anyone? Because it doesn't seem to be picking it up just now. I'm going to bring this off screen a second in case there's anything sensitive. Maybe, says Kim. Click settings, pipeline settings. No. Sorry, was kicked out. What was the issue? So it doesn't seem to be triggering on the master build that I've just published. I'm just wondering if there's something I need to set up to tell it to trigger on the master branch. Can you show the YAML file? Yep, I had it open over here. So I haven't explicitly told it which branches to build, but I also haven't told it what branches to not build. So I sort of assumed that it would do all of them. But if I click edit over here, yeah. Have you got an example that I can borrow, Pascal? I mean, I'm happy to put them in. And if it does work, then we may need to go back to our instructions on the Cake.Recipe to add them back in again. I think if you don't specify, then the pipeline might have some defaults, not 100% sure. Okay. Pascal sent a link to one of his projects. So it has a specific trigger section. So, okay. So I'm going to borrow the PR section there is for building PRs on those specific branches only. Okay, so let's add that in too. So that would be, now hold on. Has something changed? And you've got jobs in your one. I don't have jobs in mine. Oh, that's a higher level construct. So you've got a Windows job, and I just have a pool with steps in it. So, oh, do I need to change the structure of this then? Do I need to add the pool into a job now as well? Okay, so it can say that. It can. So I don't know what to say then, because I'm not seeing the. I'm not seeing it trigger on the master build. So let's add this in and see if it makes a difference. We'll say these ones can come away. Don't need these. Don't need these. Let's try adding this in. Build. Specify which branches to build. Testing this as CI doesn't seem to trigger on branch. It wouldn't be the whole docs. If you specify no pull request trigger pull request to any branch trigger a build, and if you specify no push trigger pushes to any branch trigger. Well, so that's not happening though. This, I mean, well, it's just not happening. Get push upstream. Get push origin. Okay, so I push both of those, and let's see if we get a new build. What was going through my head there was the whole switch to master and main thing that's been happening across CI providers. It wouldn't be something to do with that, would it? Okay, so now it's triggering. That's strange. I didn't knowingly change anything in the project settings. So the answer is no, Tomas. I didn't knowingly switch the settings to anything. But it seemed to be triggering now that I've added that. I've added in that specific configuration into the YAML file. Now it seems to be working. So I'm happy to leave it in. Press the 3 dot. Okay, sorry. So if we go back to project settings, 3 dots on the triggers. Press the 3 dots and press triggers. Where am I seeing 3 dots? On the pipeline itself. As in here? And is this one? Or on this one you're talking about? This one here. Settings here. So I'm conscious that there'll be something in there that all it says in there is processing of new run requests is enabled, paused, and disabled. Is that what you were expecting to see, or something different? Okay, so I'm just conscious that I'm going to show too much. So if I come back to here, so I don't think I'm giving anything away here. And then you want triggers here, I say, okay, hold on. Let me click on triggers. Okay, I don't think I'm giving anything away here. So enabled. Okay. Let's go back to here and let's see if the build succeeds on the master branch. And if it does, then I'm going to tag it through GitHub Actions, or I'm going to tag the release. No, let me say this again. I'm going to publish the release in GitHub in the hope that that sends a webhook over to Azure DevOps. And the hope is that that will trigger another build which is tagged. And at that point, hopefully, it will publish to everywhere. So let's find out, shall we? So let's wait for it to succeed here first. And then let's see what happens on a tag. And I've got 34 minutes left. So either the docs are wrong regarding the PR and push triggers, or part of our setup was wrong. But either way, I think we should maybe specify those triggers and PR settings in the Cake.Recipe docs. Is that something that you might want to pick up, Nils, or will I add it to my list? Sort of delegating here a little bit if you're still on the stream. Let me check this a second. I'm going to pull this out again a second, just while I check something. Edit variables. And then GitHub username. Cake control. Have this. Copy. Paste. Save. Close. 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 So I was asking. So the build on the master branch only worked after we added in the additional things here that Pascal suggested with regard to the trigger and the PR. So I was curious as to whether that you would be willing to put that into the docs so that it wasn't forgotten about. Maybe even with a note saying that in order to get this to work, even though the docs say that it should work without it, the only way that we were able to get it to work was with adding them. I was just delegating, but I can do it. I just need to write it down so I don't forget about it. That minute worked. No, it's still thinking. Oh, it's maybe just finished. Okay, so the build on master branch worked. So now the question becomes, will the build trigger if I publish the GitHub release? So back over here, I've got a draft release. If I click edit here, thank you Nils, I appreciate it, and I click publish, will we see a build triggered on Azure DevOps? Let's YOLO it. I'm publishing the release, and then let's bring this back over and we'll see what happens. Dun, 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 dun. I don't really want to hit refresh, but I'm gonna. No, nothing there yet. 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 This is not looking promising. Let's check to see if it went out to AppVeyor. Of course, I won't be signed in. Oh, no, I am. So it's building on. Yeah, it went out to AppVeyor. So is this a problem with Azure DevOps not understanding the trigger that is the tag? Because having done all of this work, that's kind of annoying. Close that. How can we verify that? We can check that the webhook went out to this .com, Cake contrib. Oh. Okay, so how does one add that? Is that a change to the YAML file again, or where are you guys reading that? Is that something I can find? Add trigger tags include something. And there's a list there. Let's bring that up then. Thank you very much. Copy, paste, branches, PR, YAML, branches, multiple PR updates, tags, trigger, branches include, tags, trigger tags include. In addition to specifying tags in the branches as covered in the previous section, you can directly specify tags or include or exclude. If you don't specify any tag triggers, then by default they will not trigger. Okay, so what do we want to put in here then? Trigger tags. Can I do a star? Trigger tags star. What do we think? Wildcards. For branches in that a wildcard may appear anywhere in the pattern. So it's saying tags include star. Okay, so if we were to do this and say trigger branches blah trigger tags. So should I subclass that? So that becomes branches. One, two. Is that right? No, that wants to be. And then tags. Star. Is that what we're thinking? Or should this PR be under trigger as well? I think it should, shouldn't it? PR triggers. Oh no, they may be separate. Okay, they're fine. That's fine. PR branches include. Okay, so that's a shorthand. What do we think about this? Shall I try that? Build also trigger on tags. Can I get a go no go for publishing it? What do we think? I'll take a drink. Ship it. Nil said ship it. And then he followed up with dunno. Love it. Okay, let's put that in. Right, and then let's do the little dance. So git fetch upstream, git tag -d030, git push upstream --delete 030. I think that's what it is. I always have to look that one up. Oh no, maybe got it right. That's the first time I've got that right without looking it up. I'm quite impressed with myself there. Oops. That's maybe okay. That's maybe okay. Releases should still have a. Okay, fine. So let's do this little dance then. So git push upstream. That should trigger a build, but I should maybe let it finish so that to see if it probably needs to be. Oh, Tomas. Git push origin. See, I don't like that. I don't like the syntax of that one, Kim. I don't know. I don't like the syntax of that one. I prefer the explicit -- delete. And then yeah, I don't know. That failed straight away. Lots of YAML errors. So a sequence was not expected on line 3, column 8. Okay, so that's clearly not working then. So Tomas's suggestion was that this needs to be quoted like this. Too much typing, yet fair. Star reserved chart in YAML. So we think that this is how does this one work then? Because that's not quoted either. Azure Pipelines line 3, a sequence was not expected. So line 3, it's saying this one is an error, and then on line 8, it's saying while scanning an anchor or alias did not find expected alphabetic. Okay, so that one's. Let's try this. Quote wildcard character. Okay, fine. Let's give it a try then. It's also complaining about line 3 though, so I'm not convinced that this is going to work either, but let's give it a try. Okay, so that's Tomas and Kim saying the same thing essentially. Let's see if this works then. Yeah, that didn't work either. It's saying that a sequence was not expected on line 3 and on line 8. So is it that these need to be like this then? Because that would fit with that. I'm sort of guessing now. Change formatting. That too much indent is what the Visual Studio was, or the Visual Studio. That's what Visual Studio did for me. So we're currently doing the YAML dance. Yeah, that didn't work either. Sequence not expected. On lines 3 and line 8 again. I don't like YAML. I don't like it either. So this didn't work. So where was this? PR branches include. Oh, do we need to include and exclude when we go to branches level? They've all got include and exclude. Oh, look at that. I bet it's that. Do that then. Branches include tags include. What are you doing? Sort of guessing here again. See? Build format. Get gut, get push upstream. No, really. Let's see if this works. We'll get there. Maybe. Dun dun dun. Oh. 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 Okay. Let's queued the build. It would, wouldn't it, Tomas? I fully agree. But also, I mean, yeah, I agree. But that is now running that build. So I'm tempted to kill that build and then just publish the tag again. So can I cancel this? Sure, right, let's cancel that. Oh, what's that? YAML Pipelines Validator.dev. What's that? That sounds awesome. Copy. Paste. Validate. Validating. It's saying that there's an error. Again. Oh no, sorry, it's complaining about it, the cake. It's saying it's because the cake, the addition of the cake task is in there. So if I delete that, will it validate it then? Validating. Oh yeah, if I take out the cake task, then it validates it. Okay, anyway, back to this release then, and I'm going to click edit here, and I'm going to publish this release again then. And then hopefully this is going to publish tag build. Oh, it's got 030 in it. Right, so now we need to watch it. So this is drumroll part. You also have a VS Code extension. Oh, that could be useful. Tim Austin, Azure DevOps. I'm going to need to install that, I think. Let's have a wee look. Azure Pipeline YAML Validator. I'm curious as to whether that would have spotted the issue now. So let's maybe have a wee look. YAML Validator. Azure Pipelines YAML Validator from Austin. If I go back to here and I take that include out, at what point does it validate? Problems? No. I'm not giving it much of a chance to install usage from within YAML file and palette, select Azure. Oh, I've got to call it. Validate. Validating pipeline. Sequence expected. Oh, look at that. I mean, it would have been, I would have liked it to have done it when I just saved it, but I can live with that. Validating pipeline. And then it's complaining about the cake part as well. I'm okay with that. Okay, so back to here a second. So I want to see the. I want to see. It's pretty cool, Tomas. I agree. I think that's a keeper. I want to see in the setup that it establishes that the right version number is 030. That's the first thing that we need to check. So that's going to appear just here in a second. Cake.tool is already installed. What did that say? Building version 030. That's got the right version number. That's good to know. Curious why it already. Oh, because it would have cached the tools. So that's fine. Because we told it to cache the tools, so it would have rehydrated that as part of the build process. That's fine. So now, hopefully, if we monitor the Gitters and the Twitter, we should hopefully get a new release of the Cake. Which one are we doing? Cake.NetVersionDetector should be published at the end of this build. And we've got 15 minutes left. And if I'm going to have to write something down here, which is to fix git version .tool version number in Cake.Recipe, because currently it's using some weird number that needs to be fixed. But if this works, I'll be able to publish a new version of Cake.Recipe, knowing that it works on GitHub Actions and it works on Azure Pipelines, fingers crossed. And then we can update now. The appver builds just failed, and that's what I was looking at on my phone there. The appver builds just failed, but I'm okay with that, I think. Have a wee look while that's building over here. Kim's also busy doing some stuff on Cake.warp at the minute by the look of it. I'm assuming it's just because. Yeah, I think that's okay. I think that build failing's okay on Azure, on app. could be an old build, isn't it? Yeah, I think so. But there's still 3 builds queued up on app there, but that's okay. Yeah, I saw that you're working on Warp, and Pascal's doing some stuff on Cake.Issues, so app there is getting worked a little bit hard just now. I'm excited though. I'm excited that this is going to work. I don't know. It's got the right version number. So assuming that we have all the environment variables in play and it does all the right things, I'm hopeful that this is going to work. So if it does, there's a couple of things that we need to improve. So we need to, I'm going to take a note of it anyway, update docs for Azure DevOps pipeline. Include matrix build for Windows. Oh, what happened there? Mac and OS X. Why did that fail? Ah, it didn't work. Why did it not work? Publish pre-release packages. Why is it attempting to publish a pre-release package? Shouldn't be publishing a pre-release package because we're on a tag. So it didn't work. Is tagged as false. That's why it failed. So the build provider for Azure DevOps is not picking up that it's tagged. So the Azure DevOps provider for Cake.Recipe, cd Cake.Recipe code. We were so close. Azure Pipelines is tag the environment variable, environment repository source name branch substring refs tags length. So what have we done there? So there's work done within the Cake.Recipe to establish whether it is a tag. So that, for this instance, is based on an environment variable that is... Did you stop jumping about? So we are currently saying, is it a tag? At the moment, there is no ability to know if it is a tag or not. So we are currently looking at the source branch name starts with, maybe this has changed since we created this. So it's getting it from the source branch name, which comes from where? So it relies on Cake's implementation, so it could be something there. I think that's where I was going next. Yes, so I was away to look at where Cake's getting that. So Cake build on 38.5. So source, common, build, Azure Pipelines, Azure Pipelines provider. So that would be coming from the environment. I think if you check what the checkout task actually checked out, it might reveal if it was. So let me come back to that in a second. Tomas, let me open this. We're all looking at the same thing. So in its environment variable, then over here, it's looking at environment repository. So repository is the Azure Pipelines repository info. That then has a source branch, which is the build source branch. So do we output? Oh, look at that. So the source branch is this one. So the source branch name is currently 030, so it doesn't have ref tags in it. So that's why Cake.Recipe is failing. So currently, well, no, that's not even the same environment variable name. Oh no, I was looking at the wrong one. Source branch, no, source branch name, source branch, no, it is this one. So source branch name, hold on. Yeah, so currently, if we go back to here, I go back to this one again. Copy, copy, paste. Then currently we say is tag is equal to the source branch name starts with refs tag. So currently in here, the source branch name is 030. So that's why is tagged as false, and this is why the publishing of Cake.Recipe projects on Azure DevOps is not going to work. So the question becomes then, is there another way in Azure DevOps to establish whether or not it is a tag? Because the current process doesn't work. Let's just go back and just confirm what Tomas was asking with regard to what it was checking out. But I think Pascal maybe answered the question. It checks it out as a detached head. Can I search in here? So refs tags. Oh, that's the project. That's not what I wanted. How did I search the actual job? Oh, it's here, look. So refs tags. No results. And here, refs tags. So there is mention of it. That's from Git version. Build branch from build environment. Oh, so Git version correctly figures out that it's got a refs tag in it. Normalizing Git repository for branch refs tag. I wonder where Git version's getting that information. That information is what Cake is currently expecting. So, okay, so long story short, this is not going to work. This isn't going to work at all, because this would be a change to Cake. Well, this would either be a change to Cake or the Cake.Recipe provider to get it from somewhere else. Well, no, I don't think it is, Tomas, actually. If we go and have a wee sneaky peek at Git tools, it gets the branch name from somewhere else. So I think if we were to go into source and into core and into build agents and into Azure Pipeline, then there will be a branch name here. Get current branch. Oh, look at that. They're using the build source branch. So that is what is returning. So So Nils is saying, I think Nils is saying the same things I've just come to. So I think we should be using source branch instead of source branch name. And then there's a link to this source branch name. Oh, I see. Okay. If you could write branch correctly. In which case, I think you're right, yes. So who's at fault there? That is, oh, Cake.Recipe. So we could fix that then. So if we used source branch, starts with that. I've only got 3 minutes left tonight, so we're not going to fix this tonight. But it sounds like this is fixable, and I could get to a point where this would work. So this would be a quick change to the Cake.Recipe Azure Pipelines.cake. Use source branch rather than source branch name. Okay. And I think that suggestion marries up with what Git version is currently doing as well. So having seen that, and having seen the documentation that Nils just pointed me at, then yes, I agree. We need to change this implementation to look at not that. So that'll be a job for tomorrow for me to fix that. Let's do that little dance again, not on there, so that we can get back to a cd into Cake.net. Seriously, version detector, git tag -d 030. Oh no, it won't work. It won't be there until we fetch it. I shouldn't have done that, should I? I hadn't fetched it. Git push upstream delete 030. So we'll delete that tag because we'll put it back again. I should never have decided to work on Cake.warp when Pascal is. I don't know what to tell you. There'll be a few builds going through the system just now, is there? Yeah. But anyway, it's a bit of a summation of where we got to tonight. The hope of tonight was that we get to a point where we successfully published Cake.NET-version-detector using Azure Pipelines. We got very, 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 very close. There's some documentation updates needed for the Cake.Recipe docs in terms of how to configure the Azure DevOps build. Nils kindly said that he might be able to take that part of it. There's a small modification to Cake.Recipe to use a different variable name so that it can correctly establish that it's a tagged build rather than a non-tagged build, which would then trigger the publishing steps. I'm going to take a task to do that work tomorrow and get that published and tested here on this repository. And once that's done, we can close the pages on using Cake.Recipe on both AppVeyor, GitHub Actions, and Azure Pipelines. And at that point, I can publish a new version of Cake.Recipe and then start the process of updating my add-ins to use this Cake.Recipe, which includes deterministic builds, source linking, etc., etc., etc. And once all of those are done, we can then start the process of pushing out updates to the add-ins to use Cake 1.0, as well as the cross-compiling for .NET 5 as well. So that's the plan of attack. That's probably going to be the topic of next week's stream as well, kind of finishing off some of that work if there's still some outstanding. But for now, I'm going to say that that is me done. Thank you for everyone's help tonight. I appreciate it as always. And for now, I'm going to say, talk to you later. Bye-bye.